Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about this thing Brandon mentioned kind of offhandedly last year. Brandon Sanderson, he kind of mentioned it during the Q&A last year that we're probably going to get some co-authors or some other authors in general writing in the Cosmere. And that kind of freaks me out a little bit. It's been in the back of my head, but I've only been recently like actively thinking about it, especially in light of the secret projects. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit more. So as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and if you want to support the channel in another way, you can check out the Patreon. It's linked in the description below. And as always, let's begin. So okay, just oh my, it gives me so much anxiety to even think about. So Brandon was basically talking about how just this, this idea of Brandon Sanderson, basically his popularity has gotten to the point where he's kind of getting swamped a little bit. Like he basically mentions he needs another him. He needs, more in order to do all that he wants to do. And just in general, the number of books that he has planned for the Cosmere to fully flesh out the overall Cosmere story as well as just the universe itself, it's going to take until he's well into his 90s. And if the timeline is the same, the last Stormlight book won't come out until I'm like 70. So that's kind of, it freaks me out. Like, well, probably not the last Storm. No, yeah, because after book five, he wants to take like a solid break, and then I don't. Maybe that's the end of the Cosmere when I'm in my 70s. Maybe I'm. Yeah, I don't think Stormlight's going to take that long, but maybe all of the Cosmere won't be until my 70s. I can't remember the timeline. I looked at it a while ago, but still, major anxiety. But essentially, in order to deal with the entire issue, Brandon's talked about bringing on other writers to write some various other books. It probably won't be any of the main arteries of the Cosmere. Like, he's probably, of course, going to stick with Stormlight and Mistborn. But some of the other books, some of the one-offs on planets that don't really have anything to do with anything, he's probably going to have other writers write that stuff. And while I like the idea of him essentially giving these other writers kind of a greater platform, because if they start writing into Cosmere, that's like a director coming into the MCU. Except right now, that's not that's poison a little bit, but it's kind of a good thing. It's an altruistic thing, and I think it'd be really cool for a lot of for whoever he uses, if it's just Dan or if it's someone else that he's really close to, or like Jancy or somebody. Like if he just kind of does that, then it's still really cool. I like the idea, but boy, oh boy, does it give me so much anxiety because I have I have like two reasons that are essentially the same reason why this gives me a lot of anxiety. But I have one reason that I think kind of is essentially my own brain playing devil's advocate, trying to push back on that anxiety I have for it. Um, so yeah, let's just kind of talk about it. So this idea of other people delving into the Cosmere freaks me out like so much because I am very specific to a writer's like sense of like how they see their world they're creating. Like it's very much like I don't know, there. I wonder if other readers have this, like you almost feel a connection to the writer, and like you can almost see how their brain works. You can almost like you can feel their identity in their work in a lot of ways. Like that's how I feel about it, especially the Stormlight books and like the Cosmere in general. There are things that like, especially someone like Brandon Sanderson, who is very much visible outside of his writing. Like he even puts videos of his lectures when he was teaching at BYU. Like he would put those on YouTube and stuff. And like apart from that, he has a YouTube. He's just a very approachable, very visible kind of person. So the assumptions that a lot of people will have about his personality can be easily corrected or adjusted because we can actually get to know who he is. So we recognize his personality. So this idea that I can feel his personality in his writing, I don't think is very far fetched. So this idea that somebody else would write it kind of gives me anxiety because it's like it won't feel like Brandon. It won't be coming from his mind because I know that he's very much a heavy outliner and he plans a lot of his stuff out. But there has to be multiple different areas that while he's writing different characters, plot lines and stuff, that he discovery writes. He's even talked about this before. Some stuff he just kind of discovery writes and see where it goes. Like in some stuff he just has kind of loosely planned, like the idea of who was going to be the flashback character in Rhythm of War. So there's a lot of that stuff in there that when it's decided in the time of the writing is very much core to that person. So to have those kind of nuanced, like probably very integral kind of decisions and like nuances being done by somebody that's not Brandon, Yeah, it just freaks me out. It just freaks me out. It's probably completely irrational. I understand that and I recognize that. It's probably no big deal at all, but it just gives me anxiety. It just kind of freaks me out. The idea that it's not pure Brandon, it's not purely how his head sees it. The only way I can just I'm trying not to be hyper repetitive, but that's too late. But like, it gives me anxiety. It freaks me out. I don't like it. So the other reason, apart from just the pure anxiety that it gives me, is pretty much everything that I've read of Brandon's that has had a co-author on it, I have liked less than just Brandon stuff. The only example to the contrary is the original. And he co-wrote that with someone else, and it feels, I think it's because it's so different, it's so very much pure sci-fi, it's so different that it's easier to feel like it's so completely different. I guess I don't even know how to describe it, but I enjoyed that story and I enjoyed the way like it came across. Like it felt like Brandon, but it didn't feel like Brandon. But it also felt like the point of it was it for it not to really feel like Brandon. So maybe that's what it was. But like the side stories and stuff that's in Skyward, yeah, the side novellas and stuff of Skyward that like he didn't write or only like co-wrote and stuff. It just doesn't feel like him. Even the last Alcatraz book, to be honest, didn't feel entirely like him. So there's just like I feel like I'm very sensitive to that stuff, so it causes like extra anxiety and just pure experience. Anytime he's like co-written stuff, I don't think worked out that well. I don't know if it's a voice issue or if it's coordination issue or what, but I haven't enjoyed it entirely. But so those are my reasons like against it. Those are my mostly illogical reasons against it and anxiety driven reasons. But one of my devil's advocate reason is that Rhythm of War. It's no surprise. Well, you probably had to go back pretty far because it's like one of my first videos I made when I restarted my channel. But my Rhythm of War review, it feels that book. I like Rhythm of War. I really like it. I really do. But it feels like Brandon is overly influenced by external forces in that book. There are places and there are things and decisions that are made that I can feel fandom in. If that makes any sense, I can feel the invisible hand of commentary in it, and I don't really like that. So this idea of Brandon getting help would probably allow for I mean, I would think more relaxed ability for him to write and not like to be more in his head, more true to his vision instead of trying to make it everything for everybody. Because I felt a little bit of that in Rhythm of War. So I maybe just I mean, just in general too, having extra help will definitely allow him to do other stuff and probably even free up his mind in such a way where he can, better write what he's planning on writing and stuff. And who knows, it could actually, the entire purpose of it is so that he can do stuff quicker. So we could probably get a lot more of the Cosmere a lot quicker. So that's an absolute benefit. So ultimately, that's like a net positive. And I think the conclusion to my entire anxiety episode is that I'm going to just have to be really optimistic that this is going to allow him to kind of move quicker and like do more stuff because Brandon's a workaholic, and even if he has extra help, it's not really going to diminish how much work he does. He's just going to do other work. So either way, I think it'll probably be a benefit to us. But yeah, I guess I'm just going to conclude this really ranty, rambly kind of video and say it gives me major anxiety. And it's not new information. We've known this for like a year, like at least a solid year now. So it's just like, I am curious though to see how it pans out. I wonder if we'll get an example here soon or if any of the secret projects were like slightly co-written or anything like that. I think that would have been a great time for him to play with that, but the secret projects are so specific. But that would have been a good time for him to play with the idea of somebody else writing something. So maybe somebody will write the Night Brigade book, somebody else, because I think that's supposed to be the next Threnody book. But doesn't Threnody like have a big impact on the future of the Cosmere? Maybe you don't want to do. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to try to stop thinking about it because my brain is already spiraling. So yeah, if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and if you want to support the channel in another way, you can check out the Patreon. Link is in the description. So as always, let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the topic, and I will talk to you all next time. Peace.